Welcome to Vanishing Gates. I am Jay, and these are.
The electrolyted Jack.
Kitty cat.
Would you say you're electrolyt after
Yep.
last week?
Oh yeah, I have reinforced my actually drinking things with electrolytes the past week. Thinking
Probably
that
a
that
good
might be a
idea
huge
considering
thing.
last week's fiasco of a live stream.
I was passing out.
So anyway, we're continuing on towards Halloween, so we're going to talk about more spoopy subjects. So it was 1989, and Jackie Hernandez had been working through an amicable divorce with her now ex-husband Al. The 23-year-old moved into a new place in San Pedro, California. She and Al would both still be involved in raising the kids because, again, amicable divorce, But she clearly needed the space for herself and for the kids without Al there. So she moved into a place. Single life wasn't easy. Jackie struggled working menial jobs to make the bills and feed them, like just make ends meet in general. Her neighbor and friend Susan Castaneda would babysit for her usually. Things may have been a bit tight and stressful, but ghosts were not on the list of things for Jackie to be worried about at the time. Now, Jackie says she's always had a fear of being alone, and that while she sometimes felt as though she was being watched in her house that she had moved into, it seemed easy to break into. The house did. She said it wasn't very secure feeling a house. So she figured she was chalking it up to that. She's like, well, I thought about it. It would be easy to break in, so I'm probably just being paranoid. Not that anyone's doing it, but that's probably what she was explaining away, the feeling of, being watched. But then Al's house burned down. Being that they were on good terms, during what was still a separation at the time, Jackie took him in for what was to be at most a few days, maybe a few weeks. But one day, as Jackie walked by her desk where Al had been sitting, there was a pencil holder that came tumbling at her, as she described it. She and Al looked at each other, both confused, because Al wasn't anywhere near that pencil holder, and she wasn't near it. So, but at the same time, they thought, well, it's kind of odd, but they just kind of brushed it off and moved on. But after that, little by little, more and more things started to happen. Al was only there for a week, and Jackie decided to kick him out, and that's when things really started to take off around the house. Jackie was pregnant at the time with her second child, who would be her daughter. When she woke to use the restroom, she said that, being pregnant, she would get up. But basically, she thought it was weird because at midnight, every night, she would get up on the dot. So she thought that was weird, but she was chalking it up to being pregnant. But, things would happen from time to time. Once all the window shades in the room went up on their own, when she walked in really aggressively, like they just slammed open, she said it important. She noted that we didn't have blinds, we didn't have curtains, we had shades, so it took some effort to get them to go up. And these all just happened to do it at one time. But then she saw the apparition. Jackie and her son would sleep on a mattress on the floor in the front room, as she didn't have a bed at the time. Her and her son would stay in the front room, like I said. Though the children's room was set up, had a crib and a bunk bed in it, and to get to the bathroom of the house, you'd have to go through the kids' bedroom. So that night, that's what she was doing, and that's when she saw something for the first time. And it started from the corner of her eye at first. She saw an old man sitting cross-legged on the bunk bed, on the bottom bunk. She was able to see him. There was a yellow light coming from the bathroom that kind of gave it that glancing look that she got of him. Just enough illumination for her to get a pretty good detail quickly. And then when she turned her head again, though, to look at him, because she's like, oh crap, what, there's somebody there, he was suddenly gone. But she said he looked very angry and evil and unwelcoming. He had an angry look on his face. She said he looked like a corpse, kind of gray. He was wearing a red shirt, and he had flannel, he had gray pants on and boots. She said he could look kind of like a guy, Jack Albertson. You guys know who Jack Albertson is?
No, who's Jack Albertson?
He was Grandpa.
Yeah,
go for it.
I was wondering who that was when I was watching the interview.
So he was an actor and a vaudeville actor and then a Hollywood screen actor. He played Grandpa Joe in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
He was the one who caused Charlie to have to work because he didn't want to get out of bed?
He's the one that got up and danced around because he realized he'd got to go do something. Yeah, he was that scumbag. But so she said it looked like Jack Albertson, but with a really angry, evil look. The apparition's look was unwelcoming, she said, but at the same time she felt, well, he's not fucking welcome here either, so screw him. You know, it freaked her out and all, but that was her mindset. Well, it's not that I'm unwelcome. She got that feeling from him. You're unwelcome. I don't want you in my house. This is my house. At one point, Jackie decided to check out the attic. For some reason, I spelled attack because I'm an idiot. A friend of her.
The attack.
On my own notes, I'm like, I know it's attic. Why did I write attack? A friend of hers had lived in an old house and found money in the attic of that house. So Jackie thought, well, shit, maybe I'll try my luck. She and her friend Chrissy were hanging out when Jackie stood on the washer and looked up into the crawl hole into the attic. She didn't have like a staircase or a doorway. It was just above the laundry machine, I guess, kind of near the bedroom. And she looked up to the crawl hole, and she was looking around, and she started to feel really uneasy. And then she turned around more, and the head of a chubby man went from one end of the room towards her rapidly, like a big floating head, you know. Sean Connery movies, Zardoz.
Me, I promise.
So Jackie froze, but her legs gave out, so she fell, boom, onto the ground off the washing machine. To which Christy was like, "Oh shit, you fell. What happened?" And Jackie couldn't quite talk at first, and she couldn't regain the ability to walk for a minute because she was in such shock. Her legs were still too wobbly. You know, so that's how badly she was shaken.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Floating head fly towards you at speed.
And during these times, though, Jackie would confide in her friend Susan, her friend and babysitter, the one we had mentioned earlier, about what was going on. And once while hanging out with Susan, there was a loud crash in the kitchen, and a painting that had been up on the wall was now like propped up against the stove, and the nails that had been holding it in place were sticking straight up randomly on the ground, like intentionally, like you would step on it. And so Jackie took that as a sign of aggression. But now that she had witnesses, she knew she wasn't going crazy, and she started to take notes about what she'd encountered. So shadow figures were darting around, strange odors, weird balls of light, foul-smelling liquid that would appear at random in the kitchen. Her cat would chase shadows around the house and chase the balls of light around the house. The cat would refuse to go outside, but when she made it go outside, it would refuse to go back inside the house. There was noises coming from the attic, and when Jackie traced the liquid from the kitchen to its origin point, it was coming from the opening in the attic. So it became clear to her the activities were centered around the attic at that point.
Yeah.
But the night Jackie saw the apparition, it scared her so much she ran to Susan to tell her what she had seen. She was frantic and shaken, just terrified. Susan, with all this going on, decided she was going to call Dr. Barry Taff, who you may remember from our last episode, the Entity episode. Mm-hmm. He was the paranormal investigator that showed up for that, working out of, I think, UCLA or something like that.
That was the same guy.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Oh, okay.
He's involved. This was one of his like 3 or 4 really famous cases. This is like the second one he was involved in, the first or second one. So Susan explained how urgent the matter was to Dr. Taft, so he showed up. He's like, okay, this is obviously there's a problem. I'll show up. So on August, hold on, my Mike Tyson. On August 8th of '89, Jackie says Dr. Taft arrived first with a couple of people, interviewed her, and shortly after they were joined by Barry Conrad and Jeff Wheatcraft. Barry walked in first, and Jackie said he looked like a kid at Christmas time. He was so excited. Jeff, on the other hand, was clearly very skeptical and seemed that he would rather be just about anywhere else, like, give me a root canal instead, dude. I don't want to be here. This is dumb. He seemed totally nonplussed about it. Well, after Barry and Jeff interviewed her, Jeff decided to go look up in the attic and stood up on the washer to look in. So after they had talked to her and she told them what had happened with the head in the attic and stuff, and all the goop coming out of the attic. So he said, well, we got to look up there. Obviously something's up with the attic. So he looks in there, being the ever-present skeptic. When he came down, a man named Larry Brooks, I guess he was an artist there doing some renderings of what was going on, asked Jeff, hey, would you mind going back up there and taking pictures like over your shoulder to try to, just so if you're watching it, it might not look. I don't know if this guy played Mario and he was used to booze chasing him, but I don't think that's how ghosts work. You know what I'm saying? Like you're in the castle there, the little mini castle, and the ghost will chase you if you're looking at them. When you turn your back, they come at you.
No.
Nobody knows what I'm talking about here.
Might be.
Did you never play Mario Brothers?
Might be.
Oh, yeah.
Are we talking Mario Boo rules, or are we talking Angel rules from Doctor Who?
Mario Boo rules.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because
these are two different things.
Anyway, my point was I don't think ghosts do that.
Oh, okay.
No, they don't.
Anyway, but
They
that's
don't-
what the suggestion
yeah.
was by the artist. Go figure, an artist with a bad idea about science. So Jeff headed back up anyway, because why not? This guy suggested it. Let's try it. He doesn't believe he should be there for any reason anyhow. So he climbed back up into the attic this time to get the shots they wanted. So he wasn't just peeking into the crawl hole. He actually got his ass up in there. Everyone at this point was in their own little groups talking and having a good time amongst themselves. And then there was suddenly a loud scream coming from the attic. And everyone started asking, like, what? And then Jeff came down and said, Jeff, what happened? He said, the fucking thing took the camera right out of my hands! His words, not mine. YouTube. I'm just quoting someone. He said it felt as though a rope had been used to yank it from his clutches, like he was some kind of, like, monkey with a coconut and had a rope around it. It was yanked away by the hunter. That's not actually how you catch a monkey with a coconut.
He's in the back room fishing it.
Do you guys know how to catch a monkey with a coconut?
I've done it a few times.
No, like really, do you know how they catch monkeys with
No
coconuts?
idea.
No.
So they do something similar. They cut a hole in the coconut big enough for the monkey's fist to go in, but not big enough for it to pull its fist, or for its hand to go in, but not big enough for its fist to go out.
It won't be smart
And
enough
then
to
they
let
would
go.
put food inside of it. So when they reached in to clutch the food,
They can't get
they
it
can't
out.
get out because now they're hungry.
And they won't let
And,
go.
and the coconut would
Yeah.
be stuck with a rope to the ground. So the same concept with a camera. Totally not what happened here, but that's just what came to my mind because
I
I'm
mean,
that kind of
that's
person.
smart.
At this point, Barry ran out to the car to get his video equipment. And then things get really hairy, but we'll talk about that on the next episode. What do you guys think so far, based off the small amounts of information we have going on here? Out of all the haunting stuff and the ghosts and the paranormal we've talked about over the years, where do you guys think this is going to go? Because you guys don't really know much about the case.
The Jackie Hernandez case? Man, I'm an avid watcher of all the horror stuff. I know all about this case.
It didn't sound like it a minute ago when you said you had no idea about the San Pedro haunting at all.
I didn't know it was San Pedro. I don't know the names of these things, but I know this particular case because I've watched more than a few different people give their takes on it. From what I've seen
Up
about
to
it,
this point, let's not go further because I want them to watch the
Yeah.
next
Oh, okay.
video. We want viewer retention.
Yeah.
you know,
It's a thing.
I wonder. I think the thing is about
It really is.
there's a big thing about haunting videos, especially when you go back and or about hauntings and stuff like that in the past. And that's when you go back further, there's really nothing to gain from this stuff because it's not like there's no internet to gain fame from it. That's what people need to realize.
What are you talking about, man? People gain fame from all these things. Look at the Warrens. Why don't you explain to the people how much you think the Warrens should be famous real quick, Jack? And then
The
tell me
Warrens
that
are
there's
fake.
not money to be made in this.
You're right. The Warrens are fake, and they made money off.
No,
it.
I didn't say they were fake.
I
You
said,
said they
they're
were
They're
fake.
But the thing is, hold on. Here's the
Ed
thing.
and Lorraine Warren.
Here's the thing
Content.
about
Oh.
this
Family
particular
horror.
about these situations is that before internet virus, because everybody grows up in this, in their era. You know what I mean? Obviously, you grew up in your era, but your education is massive. It's like when you think about someone from even like 1880 or 1910 and trying to put your intelligence into that person or into thinking of masses back then. They didn't have half the knowledge you have now. Half the information you have access to now, even 50 years ago, not the same. And it's vastly different. So when you talk about these people having ghost experiences, they didn't have the internet. Even the newspapers probably hardly cared about a lot of this crap. And so there's no such thing as viral sensation and fame back then for this kind of stuff. People might see it, but the thing is the likelihood is very slim to none. And the truth is, the only people who really get famous off it are somebody like the Warrens, who do massive amount of these things, and they're the focal point because they're the ones who investigate. But the individuals being investigated really have nothing to gain from this stuff. Especially back then, they had zero to gain.
There was a guy that had a ranch he was saying was being attacked by aliens. We'll do an episode on Said Listen. And he said it's being attacked by aliens. And it went from $1 million asking price to like $5 million because of that.
'Cause he
So
said there was
yes,
aliens
there's
with
gain to be made in false claims.
There is,
100%. If you're
but
smart about it.
what's the likelihood of that many charlatans?
Okay, how many people do you think make money on TikTok?
Like 5
Okay, how many people are on TikTok thinking they're gonna make money on TikTok by showing
millions.
because they want attention, right? And
Millions.
that's all they know how to do.
I wouldn't say millions of people make money off there, but
No, they
thousands.
do it.
That try. Millions try.
Millions try, but probably thousands that actually.
There's
But
really
they
like
all want
1%,
attention,
yeah.
so they do it because they're good at
Yeah.
getting attention and
Look,
not much else.
The vast majority
That's
who
my
make money on
point.
TikTok don't make money on TikTok.
And
they do it by
what?
selling like OnlyFans. and
Okay,
office
so the
sites.
vast majority of people that
No.
have fake haunted houses
That's
don't make money off having fake haunted house stories. They make money off the rights to the books and the movies and shit and telling their story and getting paid to go on interviews.
Yeah.
And if they don't get that, they get attention.
That lady got paid to do that interview.
Did she?
I'm sure she did.
Well, I don't know.
I'm not
I didn't
saying
say
for
it.
sure, but I'm sure she did. I'm
I
sure they
don't know.
paid her for her story because it was interesting.
I mean, theoretically, yeah. She was really hard up for money. I mean, obviously, like at the beginning of the story, you find out she's really hard up for
I
money.
mean, look at her
She's
house.
desperate.
She didn't look like she had
Well,
money.
bro,
Yeah, the
well,
house
I'm
is
not- and
already
we're not
looking
saying-
haunted.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that Jagger Hernandez is faking anything. I'm not. That's not. We're not even finished with the story yet. What I'm saying is, in conversation to what you were saying, there's plenty to be gained if people fake this stuff.
It's true, but here's the thing.
I mean, look at Zach Bagans. He's rich, and all he does is
There's-
fake his stuff.
The
He
question
didn't
is,
at first though, when he first started.
a lot of them don't.
Well, it starts that way, but there's only so
Yeah.
much you can gain before you have to fake it. Look at ghost hunters.
Well, they
We
all
got
Even
about
Jason
60
Hawes is
Yeah.
even Jason Hawes, the main guy on the show, is pissed about that because he didn't know half. of
Yeah,
it
he.
was fake.
Well, what was it?
Well, the
He
one-
left after that asylum one where they got caught faking it.
And the guy,
'Cause his
the
partner's
one
faking it.
original guy from Ghost Adventures, Nick Groff, I think his name was Nick Groff, left because they were faking it.
Yeah, and that's the
He
point.
left.
So, there's clout to be made in fake stories. Part of these things are possibly true, like the Amityville thing. There's a good chance something was going on at one point, but it got blown way out of proportion. I mean, the people that have lived there since have never had anything happen at all.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
No
No,
one's
no
ever reported
reports.
anything else. They all say no,
Well,
nothing
that's
ever happened.
weird then. Yeah.
Not
Not
that
really.
weird. I mean,
It
is
depends on
weird.
if
the
you have
Lutzes faked a case.
if you have a fake story. It's
Well, I mean,
fake.
it's weird because that makes it sound like it was fake.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it
To
was
tell you what happened with the
probably-
Lutzes, they thought something was going on. The Warrens showed up and said, "Hey, we can make a ton of money off this. Just do what we say," and that's what they did.
That is what I'm thinking here might have happened. I
Yeah.
agree with you. Is the same guy
I'm not
Taff?
saying here though. I'm not
But
saying Taff.
it could be because Taff. How many has he done?
I can tell you right now,
Same thing.
Taff didn't have Warren money. He's not. He's a nice enough guy. He's not doing well right now, personally.
No, but back then he probably made some money off of it.
Not really. He worked as a professor during the UC lab of freaking parapsychology. It wasn't a lot of money. It was like the beginning of Ghostbusters when they're poor and scrounging at the lab. That's what this guy did. He worked his ass off to try to show there's scientific reason and evidence behind this. The guy's actually a legit researcher.
Well,
He's a
I mean,
doctor.
maybe.
He doesn't just have a background in parapsychology and stuff like that.
I mean, I guess, but this is what I'm saying. It's like a lot of it doesn't make sense. Like even the background, trying to think of like if she's gonna make money off of it. Like,
Well,
how
Jackie
would
never
she?
made money off this.
No,
Not
she looked
any real
crazy.
money. So, I mean, this
think
is
she
one of
ma-
those cases.
I think she made money off the interview.
Well, the interview is one thing. You get paid for your
Yeah.
time to go out there and travel. Sure, that's normal. That's not nothing wrong with that.
They probably paid for her her plane ticket and her hotel.
Yeah,
and
but
shit.
that's a far cry from making
Yeah.
the money necessary to tell
And
the
they
same
might have
story the
gave
same
her
way
a
over
couple
decades.
$100 or something.
Yeah, and
but,
so I'm not, like I said, that's not what I'm suggesting is that she's faking this. I'm just saying, and talking about what you think about these things. It's like the entity one. Like, who knows what was going on there? The gal had some serious problems, and I believe that she believes stuff was going on if it wasn't.
That was the one that they said the next people that moved in said nothing happened.
Well, the ghosts followed her. They pulled her, and she said, "No, they left me alone." And her son said, "No, they followed her and followed us for a long time after. She just stopped
Oh.
telling people about it.
Oh, I see.
She started saying it was done with."
Well, I've heard that happening. That spirits being attached to.
I mean, yeah,
People.
but
Well, yeah, especially poltergeist activity has nothing to do with spirit. It has to do with her being
I've
and that's
heard-
what Barry Taff even says, that he felt she was psychokinetic.
I've heard about spirits being attached to people and objects. So.
well, with attention emotions and stuff like that, it all started around the time of her ex-husband, right? So I mean,
With him coming
theoretically-
back, exactly. So, and this is very poltergeisty activity. She would see some small things before he got there, but it was so minute that it didn't click. The bigger stuff that was pretty obvious wasn't until after Al had come back to the house and was there for that week.
I think the interesting thing is people need to realize, like, even if someone's busting into your home or trying to do something, you will never, like, if you have rats in the wall, anything, if you start to hear random strange noises, it won't make a difference if you hear random strange noises unless you see something physically, because you can see stuff out of the corner of your eye, or, you know, that's weird, like, just random stuff like that. Like, my wife saw some dude standing in a doorway in the back of our house, and I was like, nah, it's just a shadow out of the, because I knew it was, because I'd seen it before. It was literally a car driving by, and it blasted a shadow off of one
Or in your
thing.
neighborhood, someone opened your back door and was standing there watching your wife. I know where you live, bro.
But,
It's rough.
It's rough, yeah, I know. But we're the roughest house on the block, literally. But
I don't know. The apartment complex directly behind and attached to your house is kind of rough.
yeah. But the thing is like, you can never underestimate the natural response to come up with a natural excuse for everything, to come up with an excuse for anything you hear or see. Like people right now watching will say that they will forget things that they've seen that are strange or weird or out of the ordinary because their brain will automatically not want something creepy to be happening.
Well, there's
You
that.
need an
then-
immediate response to that to be something normal because otherwise you're going to freak out. And so your brain's desire to, like, how do I put this? There's different responses by your body. Your body responds to fear differently. If you see something strange or out of the ordinary where you're supposed to be safe, it'll make excuses as to why you saw that or it happened. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, your brain will terrify the shit out of you to get you to run. It's a fear response. It wants you to run. It wants you to survive. And so it'll lie to you and say, okay, you just saw something creepy. Get out of here now. Because you want to anyways, usually.
Or if you did see something creepy,
Yeah.
it's like, you should probably go, bro.
And so your brain, if you don't have the fight response, which most people have fight, or a lot of people have fight, not many, but
A lot of people have freeze.
but you have
Fight or
freeze.
flight. Or freeze.
Not a lot
Yeah.
of people have fight.
But if
It's
you have
usually
the
flight. It's boom.
Flight or freeze
out of
are
here.
the two
But
most common.
what your body wants you to do is run. It wants you to get out of there. So it'll make shit up in your head too, so that you'll run. So if you're in like a creepy area, you don't want to be like an underground bunker or someplace you're not supposed to be that you know is creepy, in a house, things like that. Like when you see Zach Baggins running, it's fake. But if it was a real person who saw something like that, your brain would want you to take off. That's why people say, well, why didn't they stop and take a picture? In real scenarios where you're not looking for something like that, you're just like your tagger or something like that, you're not looking to take pictures of shit.
No,
You're scared now.
Yeah.
You wish to leave because you don't know what you just saw.
Yeah.
And so your brain will say, get the fuck out. But if you're in your home and you're safe, you will start making excuses because you can't run. Where are you going to run? This is your
Well,
domain.
there's also people that will do the same thing, though. They'll believe in ghosts, but they'll believe they're totally harmless, and they'll stick around because it's harmless, and that can also turn around and bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
Because if that entity or being or whatever isn't harmless, it isn't as nice as you think. So there's a lot of different things that can go into this. I'm not saying every haunting's fake. I'm just saying we have to approach these things very carefully and objectively. So, but we'll think about that going into the next part of this episode.
I actually have an anecdote real quick. The ability to rationalize is so great that my wife woke me up in the middle of the night and she said, hey, I heard something over in the corner. I said, it's just a house settling. I'm like, ignore it. It's just a house settling. I'm like, don't. I'm like, you'll hear stuff creaking on that side of the house because it's, the house is kind of off because it's old. And I'm like, I'm probably just moving because we sleep in our living room and we have a big old bed. And I'm like, I'm probably just moving, which is creaking the floor over here. She's like, no, I swear I heard something. I'm like, just ignore it. Let's go back to sleep. And she's like, no. And so she forced me awake. Next thing you hear is just skittering. And I'm like, oh, fuck, there's like a rat or something in here. And I look, and there's just like a baby possum pops out. A baby possum pops
Aw.
out.
How did a possum
I
get in
love
your
possums.
house?
I don't know. But there was a baby possum. It was so cute. I was like, oh. And I went and I got a box for it, and it ignored me. And finally, I just left my front door open and waited like 5 minutes because it was trying to climb out the screen windows. And it
Aw.
finally got up and was like, oh, hey, there's a wide open hole. I'm going to go there.
Also nothing to do with ghosts.
Just
but
watch
I
the
get
But
you're
what I'm saying is
I know what you're saying.
the ability to rationalize noises and stuff like that and pretend like it's not
Yeah,
happening.
that possum could have got all sorts of gangbuster stuff in your house, and you never would have.
But I mean, you don't know if it had rabies.
Away.
You don't know if something has rabies.
I
or
know.
something has
I know
something
for a
going
fact
on.
it didn't have rabies. Possums can't get
Possums can't have
rabies.
They
rabies.
can get rabies, but it's very rare. Very, very rare.
Their body temperature's just too low.
Yeah.
You have to warm it in the microwave first. I don't suggest.
Yeah.
I do not suggest microwaving
don't
a possum
microwave
or
possums?
any other animal.
Oh, okay.
Possums, side note, possums are actually really good to have.
Okay,
in
again,
the yard. Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
can we not rabbit trail or possum
Yeah, we're
trail
going
this
to
time, please?
possible.
Anyway, so the next episode we're going to talk about part 2 of this, and we're going to get into some of the creepier stuff that happens from there down. It does get creepy, including a very famous incident we'll start right off the bat with next week. Not tomorrow. I'm not recording anything tomorrow, except for maybe from my other channel. But we'll get back to that, and we'll meet up with you guys. If you like this kind of info, if you have anything about the story you like, share it in the comments. If you like this kind of storytelling, hit us up. If you like this kind of conversational thing, if you have topics you'd like us to discuss,
If you want us to
You know.
continue this ghost story or swap to possums, let us know.
we're
in
not
the
doing that.
comments.
You can say it all you want in the comments. Go for it. Please comment all you want about possums. Not going to alter anything, but we appreciate the comments. All right, guys. I'm Jay, and these are.
Still Electrolyte Jack. I don't know.
Katie cat.
All right, guys. Good night, and good nightmares.
Goodbye, everybody.